welcome back to Devils United for another podcast, our player profile. Today I'll be doing Dylan Levitt from Dundee United for this season. I've got two brilliant Dundee United fans with me, Paul and Ronnie. Paul, how are you?
I'm very well, Maisy. Thank you very much for inviting us on. How are you getting on?
I'm very well, thank you. And Ronnie, how are you?
Yeah, all good. Same as what, Paul. Thanks for the invite. Looking forward to it.
Thank you both for coming on. It's an absolute pleasure to have you both on. We'll go with Dylan Levitt at his time at Dundee United, and I'll go with you first, Ronnie, and how he was as a Dundee United player. I've heard brilliant things about him.
Well, it depends. If you want to keep him, he was terrible. If you want to get rid of him, we'll have him. So he was, he's a wee magician. He's so good. He is such a good player. And he kind of came out of nowhere a little bit. You know, I don't think anyone was, excuse our ignorance, but to not know a Welsh international, we didn't really know much about him. And he came in and you sort of looked at him the first game and you thought, he's quite slight, doesn't look like much. 20 minutes later, you were thinking, he could be a bit of a player here, and he just went from strength to strength. And he had a couple of knockbacks with injury and illness, and I think we saw him 50 games rather. We've seen him about 29, 30 games out of the season, and you just thought if you got him the whole season, injury-free, illness-free, it could have been amazing. But he played his part in us finishing fourth, so it was absolutely brilliant for him, and he just got better and better as the weeks went on, and never scored a tap in either. It was unreal. The repertoire he's got of passing, shooting, finding space, everything about him. He ticks a lot of boxes, and especially for us, it was an absolute joy to watch.
Mm-hmm. And same question for you, Paul, as well, of what you think Dylan Levitt was like at Dundee United for yourself.
I can only echo what Ronnie said. He came in, and obviously there probably wasn't many fans that knew of him or heard about him, which it can be a little bit ignorant considering he comes from Man United, although I don't think he ever made the breakthrough for you guys. But he was a Welsh internationalist, and he came in, and almost straight away you just know when you look at somebody and the way they're playing the game, the way they move about the pitch, you just knew he was going to be a player. And as Ronnie said, he got better and better. He was unfortunate with injury and illness around about, it was Christmas time, he maybe missed out. But when he was in the team performed a lot better than when he was absent. It was a bit of a struggle at times, but he came up, and it can be viewed as nothing other than a success for the season that he had up here.
Yeah, we really missed him for 2 months. The end of October to sort of after the winter break, which was brought forward for the COVID shutdown and all that. Only mentioning that C word once. And he never come back to middle of January. And we really missed him. We really missed him, because then it's no coincidence that you look at our results during that run, and we had a hellish time of it. We lost 6 in a row. We barely picked a point up at times and didn't look great. So he was really, really missed. But then when he come back again, he just hit the ground running, and it just showed the difference that he was. So he was a massive part to it, and I would say just a joy to watch, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. People who's already in the chat. Hey there to Reese, who's in the chat. He's a Man United fan. He also supports the SPL as well. A big fan of there too. I won't mention the club's names because it's banned for Ronnie and Paul. Hey there to my dad. I hope you are well. And hey to Rather. I hope you are well also. So we will touch on a little bit with Dylan Levitt, and he was voted Fans Player of the Year for Dundee United, and a goal what was actually pinned out was the winning goal in extra time for the 4th round in the Scottish Cup. What was that goal like for you, Paul? Especially though it was an injury time goal.
Yeah, well, I was behind that goal with another few thousand Dundee United fans when he scored that, and he's picked the ball up, he's cut inside, and then he's cut back, and he's just drilled it low into the corner. And as you say, it was an extra time winner. But Ronnie touched on it earlier. He doesn't score bad goals. If you're just looking at live scores and you see the name Levitt on the goal scoring sheet, make sure you go and watch that goal later on at night if you can, because chances are it's going to be an absolute screamer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'll go with you, Ronnie, because this man might be a tough one. What would you say was his best goal at Dundee United?
Well, I mean, it was quite funny. We had a bit of a laugh on the podcast for a while, given that there was a goal scored at Tannadice, not by us, but one of those teams we'll no mention, that got goal this season. It wasn't even the best goal at Tannadice that season. You know, we helped in there, and you just thought Dylan Levitt was having his own goal of the season competition. He scored an absolute screamer at St Mirren, which was impressive. The Kilmarnock goal was brilliant. It's probably between the Celtic goal and the Hearts goal, I would think. The Hearts goal was similar to Kilmarnock, took it on himself, beat a couple of players, put it in the bottom corner as if it was nothing. And then the Celtic goal, which I think because it was on Sky, it got replayed quite a lot. It got a point and whatever, but the awareness, the touch, the dip on it. I mean, Joe Hart's still waving at the goal now. So it was just, they were probably my two favourite. And they were both at Tannadice as well, which is, it's always special when it's on your own patch. But like you said, he just had his own goal this season competition. It was an absolute joy at times. And you were just willing him to shoot half the time. You know, just have a go. But the Kilmarnock one, it was, again, the timing of it as well was pretty special. I mean, it got us out a bit of a hole at the time, and it was incredible. I mean, it's not the safest stand behind that goal either, Paul, is it?
No, it's a bit bouncy. Although I think it's, in fairness to whomever has built that stand, I think that is the design. It's supposed to have a little bit of give in it, but when there's a few thousand of you celebrating a Dylan Levitt wonder goal, it can be a wee bit dicey at times. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sounds like he does some amazing goals. I actually seen the one against Celtic and I was like, wow, what a goal.
Great strike.
To see that live as well and to see it at your own ground, I can imagine for you, Paul, it was a brilliant atmosphere to be at.
Yeah, not just for me. We had quite a big crowd that day as well. I think that was the last home game of the season. Is that right, Rondo? Yeah. That was the last home game of the season. And like our record against that team, that I try not to say their name, it's fairly poor. So when Dylan's picked the ball up from his teammate Charlie Mulgrew and he's just hit it as sweet as you can hit a ball, and Joe Hart left with no chance. Fair play. I mean, I think he moved in the general direction of where the ball was headed, but he was never getting it. It was absolutely perfect.
Mm-hmm. That's absolutely brilliant, isn't it? It's good to hear some good things about your lone players, especially. Yeah, so he's a midfielder as well. And here was the thing, here was a question. What position would he play best in? As in, is it an 8 or a 10 for you, Paul? Does he play best in?
Oh, I'm old school, Maisy. I'm not a big fan of this describing players as an 8 or a 10 or a double 9 or a false 6 or whatever it is. I think Dylan, he can play as a quarterback style player. He could sit kind of deep in midfield and spray passes about, or if you put him further up the park, he can be equally as effective because he can pick a nice pass out over a shorter distance. And obviously, as we've just spoke about, he could also strike a fair shot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Would you, for you, Ronnie, do you think he's better defensively or do you think he is better attacking wise?
I mean, I'm not having him as a defensive midfielder, put it that way. But he to be fair to him though, he puts a fight up. Like he doesn't get brushed off the ball as much as you think he would, and he knows where to be, he knows how to use his body, he knows, he never hides. You know, and there was at times, and again, there was a lot of comments during the season about the style of play and the way we were playing at times, and sometimes he was as deep as the last defender getting the ball, and you were thinking, get up the park. But then you could see how he could spray a pass and pick a pass, and you were kind of wanting him there to get the ball, but you were wanting him further up the park with the ball and stuff. And he's definitely an attacking player, but like Paul says, he's good with the ball. His feet bar there, he can pick a long pass, he can play it short. So it's a bit of a luxury to say you can play any place in the midfield really, but the more he goes forward, you know, you're just wishing him to shoot. So between I don't mind the new way of discussing it in numbers, and we take the mick on our podcast a little bit with double 10s and triple 3s or whatever you want to call them. But he can sort of play any place in the midfield, get him on the ball, and just show he can play. And he's very 2-footed as well, which I don't think it doesn't get highlighted enough. He scored with both feet as well, but he can pass with them But going forward, he's a joy. But just when he's got the ball at his feet, you just think, if anyone on the park can make that 40-yard, 50-yard, 60-yard pass, there's a good chance it's going to be him.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And as much as he is not your stereotypical like tackling, ball-winning midfielder, a lot of that is he compensates by reading the game very well. So he just puts himself in the right position to go and get the ball back, rather than like what every fan likes to see, somebody coming in for a sliding tackle and sliding 10 yards on their arse and binning the opposition player as well. He's not really that sort of player. But he definitely doesn't shirk that responsibility. He doesn't hide from the defensive side of the game, but he tends to be slightly more intelligent in his attempts to get the ball back, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds absolutely good, to be honest. Hey there, I Like Coffee. I hope you're well. Thank you for tuning in. Ravi does have a question here, and I'll go with for you, Ronnie. What formation do you think suits Dylan Levitt the best?
Well, United tend to play with a 3 in midfield, regardless. Yeah. So at times we would play. I think we start with a 4-3-3 very early on. Realised it didn't really work with maybe the players or whatever. Then we ended up trying to play with a 3 at the back. At times it was 5 at the back, and in some games it was 10 at the back. But he would always be in the 3. And again, this is where it would. Again, you're going around. It didn't matter where he could be. He could be the deepest line. He could be the 6 if you want and come deep, or he could play a bit further forward as well. Call it a double 10 if you like. So he was very, and that's the thing was, he could play in them all, and he would rarely say you had a bad game. You could see him being like any player, frustrated when he can't get on the ball, which is totally fine, and then he would go looking for it. But he had that knack about he knows when to drop off. Very game awareness, very intelligent. You know, you get some midfielders that, you know, they don't look over their shoulder when they're moving. He's always on the move. But I would certainly have him a bit further forward. But then, like I've just said, you know, if you need him to unlock the door a little bit, you're wanting him to play in. And it's getting 2 players around him that can all, you know, work really well together and allow him that little bit of leeway to drop off and get the ball. And listen, if he picks the ball up deep and you can lose the ball, it's about how they react to it. But like Paul says, he's not scared to put the foot in either. So it's a really tough one, because I don't think we really know, because he played in all 3 of the positions for United at the time. So
and very well.
and very well. So it was a bit of a luxury for us, but the 2 players around him as well are hugely important to how he would play, and allow him the freedom to do that without you know, without going against game plans, but still being part of the team. And so yeah, it's a real long-winded answer to say I don't really know.
I'll go with that question for you, Paul, then, and what you think suits him best formation-wise.
If he's in my team, I would prefer to see him slightly forward, because I think that that's why we go to watch football, isn't it? For entertainment. Yeah. So although he can play very well in a slightly deeper lying midfield role, I would prefer to see him creating chances, taking chances, and just generally further up the park. I would rather there was 2 dogs in beside him that were just doing all the dirty work and tracking back, and just leaving him to focus on creating something for each team. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Reece said in the chat as well that he was very good at picking up the ball in tight spaces. He's seen it in the Ibrox. Would you say that is, for you, Paul, one of Levitt's strengths as a player?
Definitely, yeah. He's comfortable with the ball at his feet, and whether or not that's when he's got an acre of space beside him, or if there's a man tight, it doesn't deter him from looking for the ball. Although, in fairness to him, there's rarely a man tight when he's looking to receive the ball, because he's very intelligent. He gets himself into wee pockets of space so that he can then turn, get a head up, and look to pick a pass. But he's just a footballer that's very, very comfortable with the ball.
Mm-hmm. And I know this is probably one of the tougher questions, but I'll go with you, Ronnie, on what would you say is a flaw of Levitt? Is there anything you'd say he needs to improve on in the game?
I tell you what, one thing that happened very early on in his spell, and this is clearly his upbringing coming through as a full international and being through Man United and stuff. is that he would see things that players on the park didn't. So he was already a step ahead of them. So sometimes he would play a ball maybe into the channel and the fullback hasn't read it, or the ball inside for a forward hasn't read the run or something. So there was a couple of those times early on that it was just, he's a wee bit advanced for where we are, but it seemed to sort of work from there.
That's not a flaw, though, surely, Rondo.
Not a flaw, but it's not. But given that he was just so far ahead, it was kind of like, this is what we're dealing with here. In terms of a flaw, it's hard to say that, he doesn't smash into boys. He's not that kind of midfielder. Once he got his first goal, let's say he added a few more. So certainly as a kind of advancing midfielder, you would maybe expect a few more goals off him. But let's say he scored 6. Not one of them was a tap-in. So he done really well in that. And I just hope that he was just really unlucky with the injuries and the illness that ruled him out. And it's not something that he's going to be dogged with. It's not like a young player's come through and he kind of struggles for that. And hopefully he gets over that, because he's just an absolute joy to watch. He really, really is. And he'll get better as these years go on. Probably, one thing we've never discussed, Paul, we've never really come into pace, because he's never needed to think, does he need to outsprint a guy because he's so good with the ball? And that's something we've never really seen. So it's hard to comment on there. But
no, the only thing I could think of, Ron, is like maybe physically, if he was to actually bulk up a wee bit, because he is very slight. And in Scotland, I would say that there's a marked difference between when you see football in Scotland and England. But I'll say England as the comparison, because that's where your football's watched, Maisy. They look like big brutes down south, whereas up north, they tend to be a wee bit on the more slight side. And I would say that Levitt is, if he was to improve any area, he should maybe do some dumbbell curls in the gym or whatever, just to bulk himself up a bit. But if that's the only fault that we can find, he's doing all right.
And there's something what you did touch on, and this is what I do really love in a player, is when the intelligence of the ball, because you always love to have them kind of players where the player is always one step ahead of your opposition player. And I think it's so much more rarer now to find a player who has got such a good football IQ. You've seen it. I'm going to obviously name a Manchester United player here, but Juan Mata was one for me who I would say is so intelligent on the ball. And hearing Dylan Levitt is already so intelligent at the ball at such a young age. So imagine when he hits his prime, his intelligence on the ball. I think it could be incredible. Yeah,
he's only going to get better. He's not going to get any worse, and he's still young. And if you look at the overall picture of Levitt's career up to date, like I think he's went on a couple of loan spells and he never really pulled up any trees when he was there. So it was obviously a good fit for him at Tannadice. He was still kind of in. He was probably our main man last season. I know that you said that he got the Fans Player of the Year. I'm amazed he didn't get all the Player of the Year awards, because he was really, really good. But he has had a couple of sticky periods in his young fledgling career so far. He came up last season, probably gained experience from the not so great loan spells that he'd been on. And he's turned it into, right, okay, I know what to do, rather than what I did in the past. And already the experience is paying off. And to your point, it's just going to get better and better, I would think.
Yeah, I completely agree, to be honest. And Andrew Have is in the chat. He's actually a Wales fan. He supports Wales international team, and he said that Levitt has played very well every time he's pulled on a Wales shirt. I don't know why I nearly said England, but
terrible. That's Levitt tuned right out.
Sorry, Andrew, please forgive me. But he said that he could do with another loan. I know for you, Paul and Ronnie, you absolutely love him to be at Dundee United again, but looking at how he plays, what team do you think would suit him, and what league do you think would suit him as well?
Dundee United. Only Dundee United. He'll fail wherever else he goes. It has to be Tannadice Park in Dundee, and that's just my honest opinion.
Yeah, I think when he come in, again, we said it about the slight ignorance. This is a full Welsh international, do they just cab Kennedy? Surely not. Guys, he's come through the youth academy, and then you see him and you go, he's a real deal. And then he's getting called up for Wales. Then he's playing for Wales, and you're thinking, and it's a massive year for him as well. It's a World Cup in November. It's not next summer, it's in November. So the next move for him is massive. Like, if he wants to be in that World Cup squad, not even be in the squad, if you want to play in the World Cup, he's got to go somewhere, play every week. And I think he'll know that if he comes to Dundee United, the team will be built around him. Whether it's loan, permanent, whatever, the team will be built around him. And that's a massive thing, given he's just turned 20. He's still a young lad that another year will not do him any harm. Another couple of years someplace will not do any harm for that. And like say, it's a massive carrot for him to say there's a World Cup there at 20 years old. I could tell you what I was doing at 20 years old, but it's not for broadcast, and I certainly wasn't playing in the World Cup. So that's a massive thing for him. So the next move's got to be right for him. And I just think that he knows what he'll get if he comes up the road. He'll be welcomed with open arms. The fans love him. Like, he's had his own song after about three games, so to get that, he knows. I know there's rumours he can go to other clubs and whatever else. How much does he play? Could his World Cup dream be over pretty quickly? You just don't know. But we would absolutely have him. Me and Paul are ready to drive down and get him now. So it's
we're free
ready.
Of charge.
Absolutely.
And petrol's no cheap these days, but we are willing to do it.
You know what? I'll put in a good word just for you both. And if, for example, he wants to come back 2 years, I will say, you know what? Paul and Ronnie's going to come free of charge and come get him from Carrington.
Perfect.
Well, we're in. We're there.
Got a deal here between us three. Hello there, Helen Wheels. I hope you are well. And hello as well to Matato. I hope you are well. So I thought I'd touch on a little bit in terms of Dundee United, just because I know we touched on it a little bit behind stage, and you said that they've done a very good season, finishing 4th, getting into Europe. How crucial do you think he has been for you, Ronnie, to get to that European spot?
Oh, incredible. Absolutely incredible. The second half of the season, after he had his injury, I think it was his hamstring, I think it was. And when he come back in January, like anything, it takes you a couple of games to possibly get into it. The second game back was the Kilmarnock game when he scored the great goal. And then from there, we went on. I mean, again, it comes down to the team as well. We had a couple of really poor draws against, two of the bottom clubs, and you were just thinking we need to up it a little bit for us to get going. And then he was really good against Motherwell when Tony Watt scored his first goal for us, and we managed to grind out results. I mean, it's not been a great, Premiership up here, and someone had to finish 4th. I'm glad it was us. I'm glad it was us over everyone else. But he was so important to it, from his goals to just his all-round sort of play for it. And again, the goal right at the end of the season, against, them on the TV as well, which was horrible for us because we thought, everyone's going to see how good a player he is. And then we kind of were all. Then we were fighting for that 4th spot to be in the 3rd qualifying round, and then we got there the last day of the season, and he just had so many good points to it. But he certainly drives you on as well, and you could see when he's frustrated when it's not going well, and you like that in a footballer. If they're coming off smiling and you've been beat and all this, it does my head in when that happens. But he's been so important to it, and when he started getting the goals, it certainly added to it as well. You got a couple of real crucial games and a couple of wins. I think there was only one game we lost when he scored. I think that might be what we would call a Dode Fox fact, but I think that might be I think that was the only one. That was one of his best goals of the season. But as he went on, he's just a great. Everyone seems to love him. We love him, and just him being on the park just gives you that extra. We're going to win the day. Like we can win the day because he's in and he makes you tick.
He's also a very unassuming guy. Like, he scores these wonder goals, and it's almost like he's quite shy in the celebration of these goals. It's almost like he doesn't want to be the centre of attention. And you're thinking, as a Dundee United fan, when he's just put the ball in the back of the Celtic net from 30 yards, well, buddy, you are now the centre of attention when you're doing things like that. So he does seem like a really grounded guy. There's no airs and graces about him from the outside looking in, certainly. And as well as the fans, all the teammates, love him as well. You know, you see some of the posts on their social media accounts calling him the Welsh Wizard and such like. You know, he was a very popular member of the playing staff last season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I can imagine for you, Paul, how great it is to get into Europe for Dundee United. And do you think for him, if you got like for the Conference League and you got him back, do you think he'd fit right into that Conference League games for you as well? Because they'll be very good games for you.
Yeah. The issue that we have up here in Scotland is that all the teams, we make a big play to try and qualify for Europe. And out with the big two, who we will not name, the teams that qualify for the Europa or the Conference Leagues invariably don't last long in these competitions. They rarely reach the group stages. So, like, it would be folly of me to sit here and say, yeah, if he comes up, he'll probably play about 10 games in Europe. You know, he might not. There might only be 2 games in Europe. We just don't know. But to your point about would he fit in, he absolutely would fit right in. Like he's played. He's an internationalist. You know, the other week he was playing for Wales in the middle of the park against Poland, I believe, and he was running the show. So there's absolutely no doubts about whether he'd be able to handle that slight step up. No doubts whatsoever in my mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely agree with you, to be honest. He sounds like he's terrific for Dundee United. I'll go back to you, Paul, as well, in terms of Dylan Levitt. Is he good at his set pieces, corners, free kicks? Has he done anything like that at Dundee United?
Yeah, he would be on set. He would be on corners a lot of the time, I think. We've got a guy at the club, Charlie Mulgrew, who all the ladies love because he's a very handsome man, and all the guys are quite jealous of because he's such a handsome guy, and he's very good at set pieces. So he takes quite a lot of the set pieces, but Dylan's definitely taken the odd free kick that I can remember and some of the corners. But I can't say that it stands out to me as one of his main strengths, but that's purely because there's somebody else in the team that's maybe slightly better at these things.
He's also the world's slowest man going to the corner to take the corner.
He is,
a wee jog across like Dylan, or 2-0 down. Come on, son.
Yeah, 2-0 down or 2-0 up. It's like he's dragging a tractor behind him for whatever reason. I don't know why.
And he knows when to do it when he's at the right end of the stadium. It works really well, and he gets the.
He just wants everybody to sing his song. That's all it is, right?
I know, it's brilliant. But yeah, he takes a few. He takes a few, but honestly, it's the world's slowest run to get there. Never mind take the thing.
Has he actually got like a couple of assists from corners as well?
We don't score much from corners. We're not very good at them.
We don't score much. We don't score much. So he was definitely one of our main men in helping create any chances. So I could think of maybe Ross Graham. He scored from a corner. Was that? I think that was Levitt that took that. Was it not? Scored against the Rangers.
Let's just say that he did.
We'll say that he's got 1 assist from a corner. There you go, Maisy. And it was a world-class assist.
Of course it was.
Well, I'm sure it wouldn't be any worse for Man United. It literally took us nearly a year to get a corner goal. Nearly a year.
Yeah. That's incredible. With somebody with the size of forehead as Harry Maguire challenging in that box as well. That is almost unbelievable that stat exists, but there you go.
Poor man's Ryan Edwards.
There was that point Norwich had more assists than us. More corner goals than us. Well, what does that say?
Well, it tells a story. Who knows what that story is, but it does tell a story.
It's an embarrassing story. Something I wish.
Can I ask you a question about Dylan Levitt, Maisy? What is the perception down where you are about him? Do you guys? Is he likely to stay on? Do you guys want him to stay on? Because I know that he triggered another year on his contract, I believe. So he signed on for another year. So what is the general consensus? Is he going to be getting games down there, or is he likely to get put out on loan or even sold?
Well, we've got a brand new manager now, Eric Ten Hag, and Ten Hag has said that he wants to assess every single player. It doesn't matter what's happened in the past. Doesn't matter how they've done on loan. he wants to assess all the players himself during pre-season, and then after pre-season, he will make his mind up on who he wants in the squad, who suits his style of play. So I think we're looking at how Dylan Levitt goes in pre-season, and then I think we'll make a decision from there. I've always said to myself, if a player has had so many long deals, the most nicer thing to do for the player's career is to let them go, let them be sold, and especially if they've done good at a certain club already, let them go to that club if that's what they want to do. Because we've already seen Dylan Levitt has already had three loan spells, one at Charlton, there was one in the Croatian league as well, and one to use. So really, realistically, if we was going to loan him, I think this needs to be the last loan. But I think if I was going to look at him at Manchester United, especially knowing there's already some players in the midfield already, such as James Garner, another one who's done so well at Nottingham Forest, I think it's going to be a very difficult one of who's going to get there in the Manchester United team. Is they both going to get into there? And it also depends on who we're going to sign in this transfer window as well, because if we get Frankie de Jong, for instance, he's going to go even further down the list to come to the Manchester United team. Yeah, no,
I appreciate that, but that's what it looks like from the outside looking in. Like myself and Ronnie, we're telling you that Dylan Levitt's, he's this, that, and the next thing. And to us, he is, undoubtedly, from what we saw last season. But it is still hard to see him, how he's going to break into the Man United team. And that is absolutely not a slight on Dylan Levitt or his abilities at all. It's just that it looks like Man United are going to have to... they're going to have to get their finger out, so to speak, to really make a push to get back to where they want to be. Because I can't even remember exactly where Man United finished last season in the league, but it's not where they want to finish. I know that much. It's nowhere near where Man United and the fans demand that they finish. So from a point of view, looking at it from Dylan Levitt, we would love him to have a great, successful career, and if it was at Man United, then that would be great for the guy himself. But I find it hard to see where he is going to fit into the new Man United side, because the guy Ten Hag, you know what, he would probably fit into his system because he likes to pass and move. You know, watching all these Ajax teams, they play really good football, and Dylan Levitt could absolutely do that, but the pressure might be on from the fans, I would imagine, that you get success and you get it fairly soon. So it might be deemed too much of a risk to play somebody that's not really played for your first team yet and has only been successful in one loan spell. And that being said, myself and Ronnie are still happy to pop down and drive him up the road. So if you could pass that on for us, Maisy.
Of course, I'll pop that on for you. He did actually make a game in the Europa League for Manchester United, and that was a couple of years ago, and that was in 2019. But he hasn't, as you've mentioned, he hasn't been properly broke through. And as a player of how he has been, and knowing that he's getting that regular game time at Wales, the best thing for him, in my opinion, is to either let him go on loan or to let him go on a permanent, if that's what he really, really wants, because it's what he needs at the end of the day, what is best for him, what's best for his career. And who wouldn't, at his age of 21, want to represent the country in the World Cup? Because that's exactly what they're in the World Cup, and they're already playing some amazing teams in that in the Group A of England, the USA, and that they're already your rival teams just in the groups, and that's something you want to do, represent your country. Yeah,
and that's gonna, you would think that's going to be factored into his decision if he gets the chance to make the decision of what he does at the start of the season, because we see it at Dundee United. We've got young players trying to break through, and rather than just let them sit and watch from the stands, the club puts them out on loan, because nobody gets better sitting watching the game. You know, you have to be playing, and it's a little more pressing for Dylan. Like, he'll have to be playing, not only to improve himself and gain experience in the game, but to also put himself in the mind of the Welsh national coach. Because if he sits for the first half of the season in Man United's stand or on the bench or wherever, his likelihood is he going to be on that plane to Qatar. So I think it's a big decision for him, and I just hope, from a selfish point of view, that he chooses to fly back up to Scotland.
I think the big thing is as well, though, and if you take Dylan Levitt out of the equation, you then hope that his spell at United is fed. I mean, I think Man United will be very aware that, again, if there's other players that need to go out on loan, that they can't go there. They know there's a team up there that plays and they play every week, and there's a good environment there. There's a good training ground up there. The fans are amazing. The away days are class. And there's European football to look forward to, and they finished fourth. So I think they tick a lot of boxes. Taking Dylan out of it, although we'll smuggle him in the back of the car and bring him up the road. But I just hope that maybe there is something there, for seasons and seasons. They think, well, we need a player. He needs to go and play at least 30 games in a competitive league. Go and put up with the top league in Scotland, because it's the nice football. Sometimes you need to roll your sleeves up, get stuck in at times, and players should get better doing that week in, week out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that as well, and I think it'd be good for Man United to have that good relationship with clubs to say, okay, we've got this player, do you want this player? Because you see at Manchester United, because we breed that in our DNA about young players promoting the youth, and even though you've got a good youth academy, about 90% of them won't always make it into the Manchester United team, and that's where you need to get these kind of players. So there's players like Chong, there's Gardner, there's Shortire, for instance, and then kind of players are great, but they also need to look at as in they need loans to get the game time. They need the loans to see if they're good enough for the squad. Can they hack the consistent amount of games, for instance? Because not all players can do that at such a strong level either. And as you've already touched on as well, Ronnie, the SPL is a very tight league, so that you'll be playing a lot of games and playing Europe on top of that, and you've got your cup games as well. It is a very good opportunity for young players.
Absolutely, 100%. I think it's one of them that, I mean, we Scottish football's, it's you have some seasons. We've had some terrible seasons with some great seasons, but then you just look at players can come in and they can play 40, 50 games depending how successful you are. But we saw it. We had another young kid that come up from Arsenal, played 45 minutes, never seen him again. Whether the manager at the time didn't rate him, because we've just changed our manager again. So not all players work out, but I think if you come up and they can really challenge themselves up here, rather than playing, I think, academy football, under 23 football or whatever, come up to, move out as well. Come up to Scotland, get independence about it, and then play some football and try and make yourself a better player, and it's a two-way thing. We got the benefit at the end of the season. We all thought, oh, Dylan Levitt, would love him back. He's amazing. And it kind of went really quiet, and it was a bit of a pipe dream. And all of a sudden you're thinking, we've got a new manager. He's just got a new year in his deal. What they're going to do with him? Is he going to play? And you get really excited thinking, you could get him back. This could be really exciting, and getting him back again. And all of a sudden you're thinking, I mean, he is the best on earth. It's how the song goes. So it would just be tremendous. But again, if he wants to bring a couple of pals as well to help the squad, because we've no signed NMD yet, so it would be
the
great.
boy Rashford struggling. Would be him running the team.
Rashford's only got 1 year left in his contract as well, actually.
Well, Tannadice is only 300 miles up the road.
That's it.
He's more than welcome.
That's it. Bring the sulky number 7 as well. We'll have him as well.
Hey there, John Wayne, who's in the chat. I hope you're well. Hey there to my queen as well. I hope you are well. And hello to Luca. Thank you for tuning in. Ravi has got a question here what I'll pass to Paul. Which players do you think Levitt link up well and play with at Dundee United?
I'm glad you said Dundee United there, because Ravi has had a shocker there, Maisy. Dundee is a team
Dundee is a different team.
They play in the same city, in the same street, but they don't play the same sport. I don't know what they play. They're not very good at whatever it is that they're trying to do.
I think they was low down the league, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, they're not even in the league, so that's how low they are. Yes, they're in the league below. Unlucky. Get out of them. Right, the players that he plays best with. Well, we've got an American player at Dundee United, Ian Harkes, and it kind of splits opinions with fans. Some fans rate him, some fans just don't. But I personally think, and I think Ronnie would probably agree, Ian Harkes last season had his best season at Dundee United, and when he was playing alongside Dylan Levitt, I think that definitely helped. I think that took his game to another level. How or why, I'm not sure, but it just did. But it's also good if Levitt's in the team beside someone that can do a lot of the tackling and the stuff that nobody really wants to do, the less glamorous side of the game. And for the first half of the season, we had a guy called Dode Fox, and he's went to Peterborough. He was absolutely brilliant for us. He was only at Tannadice for just over a year, I think, and for most of that time at Tannadice, he was just brilliant. You almost thought there was maybe 3 Dode Fox on the park at some time, because he just seemed to cover so much ground, and he allowed the others to be on the ball and to pick passes and whatever and start moves off. So if he's in beside Harkes at Dundee United and another, and I can't really say who else, because Dundee United fans that are watching this, they will know that we are crying out for some signings. So whoever else might join up, it would be a ball winner, I would imagine, would play beside Dylan. But Ian Harkes, he's definitely brought him on miles and miles.
Mm-hmm. Would you agree with that, Ronnie?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, our midfield was quite, for a long time, it was quite settled. You know, you'd go games and it would be with Harkes and Dylan would be in there, and John Doe, and then John Doe left in the January window. And then towards the end of the season, you had Charlie Mulgrew was playing in midfield that would do a bit of the dirty work and let, Ian, but then Ian Hart's got injured. So, yeah, we're a bit of the last couple of months they were a right laugh at times. They really were. So, yeah, he definitely brought Ian Hart's onto one, which then led to, Ian possibly, he was out of contract as well. He's just re-signed for this season as well. So you would hope he could really bring his form in that Dylan really gave him, set him on his way for a really good season. And again, if Dylan was to come back, he would really help in there. But they certainly need a bit of a ball winner, a bit of a dirty player. I know, I'll say it, a bit of a dirty player that'll put the foot in and let them go and do the nice stuff on the football pitch. You need someone up here to do a bit of that. So, but yeah, we're still no sign MD. So if NMD has got any players, send them up to DD3, because we'd quite like that.
Yeah, I know we did touch on about having a bit of a relationship, Man United and Dundee United. So I'm going to go with both of yous on, I'll go with you first, Ronnie. Who would you actually take from Manchester United's youth players, minus Levitt, of course?
Who have I seen? Well, there's a lot of talk about the young kid Zidane, innit? I mean, he could be a bit of a player. He's got a good name as well. Zidane's probably my favourite ever player. So yeah, we'll take a look at him. He'd be okay. We kind of need a ball winning midfielder, certainly. If there's any of them, you can keep your Fred, you can keep your McTominays, but we definitely need somebody like that would be quite handy. Where else are we quite light, Paul? We're a wee bit light up front just now as well. We've not got anyone
all
else.
over the place. All over the place.
We still need a goalie, so yeah, pretty much anybody really that's going that wants to come up with Dylan would be pretty good.
I know who I would take. And I do not have a clue what position that he plays, Maisy, but I would take Hannibal. Just because he's called Hannibal.
10 role, and he can play as an 8 as well.
What a name. A Dundee United top with Hannibal on the back is the stuff of dreams. So if he's free, if he's willing to travel 300 odd miles up the road,
there's the young kid Galbraith as well, isn't he?
Yeah, that's exactly who Reese has actually mentioned. He thinks that he'd be good for Dundee United.
We'll take him.
Yeah, we'll have him as well.
We're signing deals left, right and centre here, Rondo.
Just saying MD. You didn't give us a checkbook and pen, honestly.
I was hoping that maybe you could say that you wanted Harry Maguire, maybe, or
we're fine. We're defensively we're sound. So you can keep Harry down there.
Aye, and hands off.
Get him to clean the stands or something.
Stop! No, stop!
No way. Hands off Ross Graham as well, and he's a poor man's Ryan Edwards, and he's no as good looking as Charlie Mulgrew.
Yeah, Another one who I think could be interesting would be Shortire there for Dundee United, because he can play in
That's
the
the
middle.
boy. That's the boy Hasnail Joffrey mentioned. Sorry to go back to that. We had a bit of chat before it. Hasnail Joffrey mentioned him. He was in his group. So there you go. Just when you said that name, I knew that rung a bell.
Yeah. Hannibal, who you've already mentioned on Paul, is very, very highly rated by Manchester United fans. We actually don't want him to go on loan because we want him to stay and develop at Manchester United.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere, I don't imagine. But it's just, even if we can get him for a week, just so that I can get Hannibal on the back of my new Dundee United top, that would be much appreciated.
He's the young kid that come on against Liverpool and got booked, didn't he? Just kept kicking everyone.
Yep.
Yeah. He came on around the 80th minute and he got booked within 3 minutes because he made a tackle.
Yeah, he'll fit right in
Scotland. You put your foot in. That's exactly what you need to do.
Especially against your rivals. Hey there, Barbara. Thank you so much for the lovely comment. It means a lot. I hope you are well also. Helen Wheels has said, Hannibal is at the gate. That will scare people. It really would.
It's very true.
Mm-hmm. And he also said, if you want a goal scorer, you should take Charlie McNeil on loan. I don't know how much you know about him.
Nothing, but we'll take him. If he's a goal scorer, he's more than welcome. He'd look good in Tangerine.
Goal scorer. He was in our academy. We bought him from Manchester City, and he scored over 30 goals in the academy in one season, and he had, I think he had near enough the same amount of assists.
I'll have him. You can keep Robbie Savage's son though, just because he's Robbie Savage's son.
Yeah, we're not having him.
Reese has said Hannibal would benefit from a loan, maybe as a wide option. So yeah, Hannibal to Dundee United, it could be done.
Count me in. This signing players is easy work, Rondo.
How is the club taking so long?
Jeezy, peeps.
I'll put your list down for you.
Perfect.
List down. I'll get it.
We
sent
appreciate
over.
that. Just make sure it lands on Eric's desk first thing in the morning. We're fine.
I will do that for you. Not a problem at all. I'll wrap it up here now. Thank you, Paul, and thank you, Ronnie, for both coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure having you both on and hearing more about Levitt and Dundee United. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much for having us, Maisy.
Yeah, thanks a lot. It's been good fun.
Thank you. And I know you both as well have a YouTube channel together, and that is the Dode Fox Podcast. Is that, if I'm correct?
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, yes. It's a very audio-only YouTube channel. It's very much a podcast that comes out audio every Monday. We've had loads of cool guests on. You know, you might Hamish McAlpine for some of the older viewers who got man of the match at Old Trafford in the 80s. We've had loads of great stuff like that. But yeah, our YouTube channel doesn't get to see these faces for, well, you're seeing why.
For a reason. For a reason.
So yeah, so it is on there. But yeah, we're across, you know, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, Apple, all these kind of places. So, and it's great fun. You know, we love doing this. We love coming on and speaking about players that we've had with other people and stuff. So it's been great. It's been good fun.
Yeah, it certainly has been fun. And for everyone who's watching as well, I've put the link in the description below for your YouTube channel and your Twitter as well. So if you haven't already, go and subscribe to Dode Fox Podcast. An absolute brilliant channel. I've actually listened to some of it. I think it's a great channel. And Reece said he subscribed to you as your 147th subscriber on YouTube. So you've got a new subscriber.
You've got that many? I knew I had that many. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
So you've got gaining subscribers already, and I think it's a very brilliant channel. So both of you keep up the great work, and good luck for Dundee United next season.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Same to you.
Thank you. And we'll see you all very soon. Thank you all for watching. It's a goodbye for now.